Have you ever had the feeling that you are living the same life in looping, only with different dates? Wake up, breathe, try to make it work. But deep down feel something invisible sabots you, bounds you, limits you. And the worst, you don't even know where it comes from. It is not unlucky. It is not destination. And it is certainly not the fault of others. The truth is hard and simple. Your life is exactly what you planted, even what you have stopped planting. A lot of people live as a zombie, repeats the same standards, blame parents, the government, the boss, and continues to reap the same mediocre results. But what if I told you that 16 minutes can haunt you more than any nightmare, precisely by showing you the truth you have always tried to avoid? The truth about you. About what you think. About what you feel. About what you do, and especially what you refuse to change. Maybe it bothers you. You may want to close this video. But if you have the courage to continue until the end, you'll find out why your reality seems stuck and what needs to be done to break this cycle. Spoiler: there is no magic, there is no shortcut. But it has power. And he starts with a decision. Now take a deep breath. Because from now on, each word will hit where you need to beat. Have you ever stopped to realize that the life you have today was born inside your head? So it is. It all starts with a thought. The way you see the world, what you believe about yourself, the judgments you make, all this shapes your choices. And choices create reality. To think is planting. And what you think today, you reap tomorrow. Even what you avoid thinking. It's no exaggeration, a repeated thought becomes a belief, and a belief commands you on autopilot. A lot of people fail not because they have no talent, but because it lives feeding sabotaging thoughts. I'm not good enough. Nothing works for me. These sentences are seeds of failure. Even without realizing it, you are building your ruin one drop a day. And the most dangerous is what is hidden in your subconscious. These are those ideas that you don't even realize you have, but they drive your emotions, decisions, and reactions. It is as if your brain has an invisible program running in the background. If this program is infected with guilt, fear, or inferiority, you may even work hard, but you will sabotage everything without understanding why. So look at your life now. Everything you see, from your bank account to your relationships, has been thought before it happened. Want to change the results? Start by changing what you think about yourself, about money, what is possible for you. Remember, even what you stop thinking, you plant. And what is not transformed, repeats itself. There comes a time when you need to stop by pointing your finger and start looking in the mirror. Yes, it is uncomfortable. But it is also liberating. Because the truth is this: you plant for what you do, what you fail to do, what you feel, and even what you should feel and avoid feeling. Life does not respond to your desires, it responds to your decisions. And every decision begins with a posture choice. Complaining became the favorite sport of those who do not want to take responsibility. It is the fault of the crisis, of the boss, of my parents, of God. But deep down, this whimper is just an elegant way to stay in the same place. And while you blame it out, you lose the power to transform inside. Want to see real change? So stop outsourcing the chaos of your life. He is his work, even if unconscious. To assume responsibility is not to blame yourself for everything. It is understanding that you have created your reality based on the thoughts and attitudes you have had so far. And as much as it seems heavy, it's the best possible news. Because if you created it, you can recreate. And if you are honest with yourself, you will realize that much of your stagnation comes from your own resistance to change. So the next time you get justified, stop. Breathe. And ask yourself, what am I avoiding making me result? This question may hurt, but it gives you the control. Self-responsibility is this: stop telling stories, start acting. Because 100 of the fault can be yours, but it also means that 100 of the change depends on you. No one stumbles and falls into poverty by chance. Just as no one reaches prosperity without knowing what they are doing. Failure, as hard as it seems, has cause, has logic, and has an address. And almost always he begins in omission: people who do not study, who do not prepare, who do not read or seek the right knowledge. That is, people who want to harvest without planting. Waiting for money to come just because you are a good person is one of the greatest traps of modern thinking. Good intentions do not pay slips. The market rewards preparation, effort, strategy. And do you know what is the difference between who thrives and who lives in the red? Pros take courses, seek mentors, learn from mistakes, while others complain that life is unfair. Of course, good people also break, suffer and face crises. But you know why? Because they are myopic in important areas. They are great at giving love, but terrible to position themselves. They are generous, but they do not know how to deal with money. They are spiritual, but they are sabotaged out of pride. Failure is not a lack of kindness, it is lack of preparation. And this is resolved with action, not with lamentation. If you want to change this game, start now. Take a book like The Secrets of Millionaire Mind or Rich Father, Poor Father. Take a basic financial education course. Watch a YouTube mentoring on business management. Stop postponing this step. Because prosperity will not knock on your door if you keep hiding from the responsibility it requires. It's hard to admit, but most of the children's emotional and behavioral problems don't start in them. It starts in adults around them. An aggressive, apathetic or hyperactive child is almost always the mirror of a dysfunctional environment where there are fights, lack of listening, emotional absence or overload and overload. Wounded parents raise confused children. And this is repeated for generations if not interrupted. It is common to see diagnoses such as attention deficit being given without looking at the context. The question that almost no one asks is, how is the relationship indoors? Children who grow up in homes where shouting, victimization, toxic silence, or the absence of affection reigns, learn that the world is insecure, and this shapes its behavior, self-esteem and worldview. And here is a reality shock: the problem is rarely in the child. In most cases, child's behavior is a scream for change in parents. Sometimes it is the father who is frustrated with his career. Sometimes it is the mother who carries old guilt, such as an abortion never resolved or a hidden betrayal. And all this becomes dense energy, which the child absorbs without understanding but feels. If you are a father, mother, or want to be one day, understand your emotional health is the invisible inheritance you pass. Want to see your children happy, balanced, prosperous? Start with you. Heal your wounds, assume your mistakes, transform your mindset. The family changes when someone has the courage to change first, and that someone is probably you. There are things you never told anyone but that lock you inside every day. A mistake of the past, a choice that ashames you, something you made or failed to do and never had the courage to face. For no guilt does not disappear, she hides in her subconscious and sabots her results in silence. And as long as it is not resolved, it will continue to drain your energy. Sometimes it is an unanswered abortion, a betrayal that you have never forgiven nor yourself, a lie that has become a burden. You think you overcome, but it appears in the details, in the fear of being happy, the difficulty of relating, in the self-sabotage that comes up just when it all starts to work. This is no coincidence, it is the guilt pulling the brake of your life. Denying the guilt does not solve. To repress only. What it solves is to face. Recognize that you have made a mistake, but you don't have to remain stuck with this error. Freeing yourself begins with forgiveness, especially the forgiveness of yourself. When you bring to light what was hidden, pain loses strength and transformation gains space. But while the secret is stronger than your courage, the pattern will continue to repeat itself. So look inside with honesty. What guilt do you still carry in silence? What old decisions still haunt you? You don't have to expose to the world, but you need to solve with you. Because as long as there is poorly resolved guilt, there will be self-judgment. And where there is self-judgment, there is no room for abundance, success, or true peace. Want to know what you have planted? Look at your results. Your financial, emotional, marital and even spiritual life is a faithful mirror of what you have been doing or failing to do every day. You plant when you act, when you speak, when you feel. But also when you omit. The harvest does not fail. It only comes with delay, which confuses a lot of people. There are people who say, "But I didn't do anything to deserve it." And that's where the danger lives. Doing nothing is also a choice. It is stop studying, seeking help, investing in yourself. It is content with the autopilot, thinking that things will be resolved alone. The reality that surrounds you today was built by the seeds you launched even without realizing it. Your subconscious does not negotiate with excuses. He only understands actions and repetitions. If you spend your days procrastinating, complaining, sabotaging, he records everything as a survival program. Then you are surprised to live in scarcity, in conflict, in stagnation. But this is just the harvest of what you have fed silently in your routine and your thoughts. So be intentional. Start planting today what you want to reap 6 months, a year, 5 years. Use positive statements, meditations, reading good books, written gratitude, creative visualization. Small daily habits create great transformations. Because in the end, life doesn't give you what you want, it gives you exactly what you cultivate. It is tempting to want the other to change. We complain about the partner, the boss, the children, the parents, but almost never looks at their own posture. But there is an unchanging law of life: no one changes anyone unless you change first. Expecting others to improve before doing their part is a right recipe for frustration and stagnation. Many people live in the hope that the world adjusts to their desires. When he changes, I change. When the company values more, I effort. This mindset is childish and ineffective. True transformation begins inside. Want more respectful children? Be an example of respect. Want a healthy relationship? Heal your own trauma first. Want professional recognition? Deliver excellence before charging. Life responds to its frequency, not to your requests. And when you raise your mindset, it begins to influence the environment around you almost without realizing it. People change when they realize that you have changed. But as long as you insist on pointing, judging, and waiting, you will continue to live in a cycle of repetition and frustration. Because each one has the children, spouses, and results they deserve. So, stop waiting for the world. He's been waiting for you for a long time. Do therapy, read books, assume your mistakes, review your behaviors. Become the type of person you would like to have by the side. Because the truth is simple and liberating: when you really change, the whole world changes place to adapt. There are people who prefer to live a comfortable lie to face an uncomfortable truth. But guess what? As long as you don't admit your own incompetence, financial, emotional, or professional, nothing will change. The transformation only begins when you look at you honestly and say, "I need to improve, and the responsibility is all mine." It's no use hiding your flaws behind beautiful phrases or the pose of those who okay. Recognizing your own mistakes does not weaken you, frees you. This is where the change begins, at the exact point where you stop justifying yourself and begins to act. And this movement requires courage, because it will hurt. It will hurt the pride. But it is this pain that heals, that cleanses, that reconstructs. Do you know what prevents a lot of people from thriving? The pride of not seeming weak. But do you know what is really strong? Having humility to say, "I don't know, wrong, I need to learn." As long as you keep telling yourself stories, you will continue to reap the same results. What paralyzes your life is not failure, it is the fear of facing your truth. So start now. Without expecting motivation, without depending on a sign of the universe. Take paper and pen, write your flaws clearly. What areas of your life are shouting for change? What have you avoided doing? What excuses do you often repeat? Assume 100 of the fault is yours. But that's great. Because 100 of the change also depends on you. Now tell me sincerely, what are you going to do with all this? Will you keep these truths at the bottom of the mental drawer and continue living in the automatic? Or will there be the courage to face the changes that need to happen? Life has already given you signs. The results you reap are daily alerts that something needs to be transformed and no one will do it for you. You are one step from a new reality. But this step is neither magical nor comfortable. It is a step of self-responsibility, humility, firm decision. No matter where you are now, it matters where you want to go and how much you are willing to plant differently from today. Because everything changes when you change. And the change begins in silence, but screams in the results. It requires constancy, renunciation, belief review, and even removal from environments and people who no longer match their new version. The harvest does not come from a single heroic act, but from small daily gestures that, together, change destinations. This is how you stop surviving and finally begins to live with purpose. So I invite you, choose to get out of the audience of your life. Choose to act, think, feel, and decide with conscience. And if this content touched something inside, subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, and continue on this journey with us. Here, we say what needs to be said for those ready to live what never lived.